Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit True of My Chest and it's by user ZestyClothes_Charge281. Grandpa is punishing my dad. I have the power to stop it, but don't know if I actually want to. I'm using a throwaway because if any of my friends or family see this, I don't want them to know my main account, since I have some very private things on there. I, female 21, lost my mom when I was 14. Dad remarried when I was 17. My stepmom has a daughter, female 15. She and dad had a boy, male 3, and now she just gave birth to a little girl. Anyway, I have worked since I was 16 to have some money to buy stuff for me. When I turned 18, Dad said I was now an adult and should start paying rent. It was only $500. He said it was a symbolic amount, since he would still cover food and other essentials. I was mad and we fought, but in the end I accepted and that was the arrangement until 7 months ago. That's when Dad came to me saying I had 2 months to move out. Stepmom was pregnant and they would need my room for the baby, which is insane because they both have private offices. My stepmom doesn't even need one since she's a stay-at-home mom since the birth of my baby brother. Nonetheless, they told me I had to move. By the way, just an addendum, me and stepmom get well fine. We don't fight or bicker. I don't think this was an evil stepmom moment, but who knows? Me and my stepsister are actually pretty close. I help her with homework and talk about her personal problems. I do love her very much. Back to the story. I didn't know what to do. I'm going to a college. I want to be a civil engineer and work part-time. I don't have the means to live by myself. I called my aunt asking if I could move in with her for the time being until I figured something out. Offered to pay rent and all. She was aghast at what Dad was doing. She said I absolutely could live with her, no rent needed, but also said she was gonna deal with my dad. The next day, Grandpa came to our house and they talked privately. I could hear my dad's angry voice, but couldn't understand anything being said. After a while, Grandpa came to my room and said I had 3 choices. The first was to continue living with Dad and stepmom like I was doing. Nothing would change except without paying rent. The second was moving in with him and Grandma or my aunt. The third was to find a place of my own and he would pay the rent and costs for me. He said I didn't need to choose now. I could keep living with my dad and if I changed my mind to just tell him. I was actually relieved I could still live with Dad and that this madness was over. But the following days and weeks, Dad and stepmom were very hostile towards me and I felt incredibly uncomfortable being in my own home. Even Cassie picked up on this and asked me why they were angry at me. So I decided to move out and told Grandpa. He said he would take care of everything. A few weeks later, he moved me into one of his rental units. The apartment is lovely. He bought me a fridge, a stove, and other essential items. He gave me a check for $15,000 saying this money is to help me start living on my own and that as long as I am working or studying, I can live there rent-free for as long as I want. My dad and I have been pretty low contact since I moved out. He never came to visit me or I visit them. I miss them a lot, especially my stepsister, but I am still hurt. 2 weeks ago, my stepmom gave birth. I visited them in the hospital. It was a little awkward, but nice seeing them and my baby sister. Anyway, a few days ago, Dad calls me, saying he misses me, the children miss me, and I should move back home. He apologized for asking me to move out, etc, 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 and I told him I would think about it. Yesterday, I visited my aunt and was telling her what my dad said, and my cousin laughed a little and said, "I'm sure he does." I asked what he meant, and that's when they told me a lot of, until now, unknown information. Basically, my dad's home is actually my grandpa's, as is my aunt's. Basically, the deal he made with me, he did with all his kids and some grandkids as well. He never wanted any of his family to have to worry about basic stuff like a house and food, etc. When I called my aunt that time, she called Grandpa, who was furious with my dad, not only for kicking me out, but also for charging me rent. The day he went to my dad's, he tore him a new one and threatened to have him evicted. But now, the petty part. You know that $15,000 Grandpa gave me? It's actually what I paid Dad in rent all that time. And now he's making Dad pay him back. Also, he's charging Dad $1,200 for the rent loss in the apartment I'm living in. Call me dumb or naive, but until now, I never realized my dad didn't make that much money. We lived in a great house, always went on vacations, and lived very comfortable lives, but I guess Grandpa has always been helping behind the scenes. Now, my cousin thinks Dad is struggling with 3 kids at home, a single income, and having to pay it back to Grandpa. He says Dad wants me back because he imagines Grandpa will stop punishing him if I'm back living with them. Honestly, I don't know what to do. I'm actually loving living on my own these past 6 months, but I do really miss them. I miss my siblings. I miss the life we had before all of this. But I don't know if moving back home is the right answer. And also, I'm hurt the reason he wants me back is money. Honestly, I just wanted to vent. Well, Opie, first of all, your grandpa rocks and your dad sucks. It's sad to see in this case the apple fall 1 field away from the tree. And also, I don't think you moving back to your parents' house or to your dad's house is going to make things go back to the way they were and your dad is going to stop paying your grandpa all that money. I don't think your dad can see 2 inches from his nose and he apparently is a glutton for finding out after effing around. Finally, if you're enjoying living by yourself, then keep on doing it. You are growing as a person by doing so. Now, if you miss your siblings and your stepsister, you can always see them without having to live with them. You can set up visit dates that you go see how they are doing, or you take them to a picnic, or they go visit you at your place or something. OP, all I'm saying is don't move back because your dad is trying to guilt you into coming back. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? What kind of advice would you give her? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's go check out the community comments. Not the Lizard Genital says, I'm so very sorry that your father has hurt you so much. He doesn't want you though, he wants money, and knowing this is always going to hurt you and chip away at your self-worth. I know it hurts, but going back is not healthy for you. You deserve people in your life who love you unconditionally and want to spend time with you because it's you and without ulterior motives. How about starting new traditions with your aunt and grandparents? They love you and want you around. I wish you all the best. And Opie responds, the weird part is I know he doesn't want me. He wants money. But also it's difficult to see my dad that way. These past 6 months, I wondered why he kicked me out. If I had done something. Now I'm thinking, was it all about money? And yeah, my grandparents and aunt have been great. I visit them whenever possible. Grandma isn't in the best of health, but she even came to visit me on my birthday. I'm very lucky to have them and their support. And thanks for the kind words. Tall Wall 7580 says, don't move back home. That is not the answer to we miss you. The answer to we miss you is to schedule regular plans with them while still living in your own place. Have family dinner night. Bring your stepsister to your place for girls' night sleepovers. Offer to babysit the babies on nights so dad and stepmom can go out. You don't have to move home for them to still be your family. By the way, your grandpa rocks. Heart. And Opie responds, those are great suggestions, thank you. I'll tell Dad I won't be moving back, but I'll suggest ways to reconnect. I would love to have sleepovers with my siblings. I'll put that as the main one. People are being so helpful and I'm realizing I can have a relationship with them on my own terms. I feel kinda dumb because it's obvious. Thank you again. And Sergeant Maddie says, think of it this way. Your father is living in a huge house for the piece of a small apartment. He's still getting an amazing deal, just not as amazing as it was before. Everyone struggles when their budget is reduced, but that doesn't mean that he won't still be living a very comfortable and subsidized life. Also, I have a feeling your grandfather would be unconvinced to change the rent your father is paying even if you were to move back. He is charging your father to make a point, not to actually cover your expenses. Enjoy your new apartment and independence. Your father will have to just learn to adapt to a slightly simpler lifestyle. And Opie responds, "It makes sense to think my grandfather would be unconvinced to change the rent Dad is paying, even if I were to move back. I've been reading what people say and I'm more comfortable with staying where I am, less guilty. But maybe I should talk with Grandpa about it to hear his side. I now realize I've been too sheltered from information I think I need." Additional information from Opie's comments. To clear this up, my dad didn't start with the rent the second I turned 18. Nonetheless, I hadn't actually made the math. Regardless, Grandpa had bought a lot of things for the apartment, so I don't know if he took that into consideration or not. But the reality is, I don't care if Dad owes me anything or not. I'm grateful to Grandpa to have a place to live and with that money, have some savings. I don't know what was said or done the day my grandpa talked with my dad. I thought the situation would be back to normal, but it became weird. They never shouted or were aggressive with me. It was more like I didn't exist. They only acknowledged me when they demanded I do some chores, which I always did, so I don't know why they were acting like I was spoiled or something. I felt unwelcome, so I decided to take my grandpa's offer and move. Still, since I moved out, we've been low contact. He and stepmom wished me a happy birthday and bought me a book as a gift. I invited them over, but they didn't come. I never visited them or was even invited. Okay, well, I think the community gave OP some really good advice, and OP's apparently going to take it. She's going to stay where she is, but she still wants to talk to her grandpa to find out everything. So let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. I wanted to give you guys an update since you've all been so helpful and kind to me. I was so overwhelmed by the support you gave me. Thanks 1,000 times. Before the update though, I'll just answer some questions some people had. My aunt and grandpa are from my father's side of the family. My mom's side, unfortunately, I don't have much contact. My grandparents have passed away before mom. I have uncles and aunts. I see them once in a while, but they don't live close. I also have 2 other uncles from my father's side. I'm close to them, but not as near as my aunt. She was my rock when mom died. I consider her a second mom. Also, my stepmom knew about the rent I was paying. It was implied my stepsister would need to do the same when she turned 18. But I don't know if she knew Dad didn't own the house, or the extent of how much my grandpa was financially helping Dad. Now, to the update. On Monday, the day after my post, I called my dad and said I decided to not move back. I didn't mention anything I was told by my aunt and cousin, just that I was well settled here, and moving back seemed like a step back. But I also said I wanted to keep in contact with them. They could invite me for dinner whenever they wanted, and I also said I would love for my stepsister and brother to be able to spend time with me here at home. He was disappointed, and I didn't feel any angriness in his tone, at least, but he basically said "we'll see," and left it at that. I was also disappointed. But then, Friday, he called me, asked me if I wanted to have lunch on Sunday, today. I said I already had plans with Grandpa and Grandma. He asked me when I would be free, so we scheduled a dinner for Thursday. I haven't told any of this to my stepsister. We talk and text regularly. She also hasn't heard them talking about me, but she did say her grandma, her mom's mom, is there to help with the baby and is being incredibly annoying. I laughed at that. I wanted to offer her to sleep over here, but didn't want to get her excited just for Dad to say no, so I'll do that on Thursday. The big update is I've just came back from visiting Grandpa and Grandma. We spent a lovely day together, but I also said I wanted to know everything that was going on. I wasn't a kid anymore, and I felt like living in lies. The most important things were things my cousin and aunt told me last week, but there were a few more. Grandpa had been subsidizing quite often our basic needs, like school, healthcare, etc., because Dad didn't have a cent saved up according to Grandpa. Also, my college fund was mainly contributed by him and Mom before her passing. I guess that makes sense. I was also dumb not to realize this sooner. He also has set up funds for my baby siblings and also one for my stepsister because he didn't want her to feel excluded and not have the same opportunities as her siblings. This man is incredible. I love him so much. And yes, I'm very, very lucky. I've seen so many people commenting this, not in a derogatory way, but being very supportive and nice. I know I'm very privileged to have grandparents and family members who can afford and are willing to help me. I hope one day I can help others the way they are helping me. Anyways, I also expressed worries about my dad's financial situation, and he assured me my dad is fine, more than fine. He said my dad will have to be less frivolous with money for a while, but that he would never let any of his kids or grandkids to suffer or be in the need for anything. As many of you said, he's trying to teach dad a lesson I should have told him a long time ago. So I'll stay out of it. I don't think I'll tell dad that I know all of this. I know many of you said to confront him, but I think it's for the best if he continues thinking I'm oblivious. Lastly, we talked about why my dad kicked me out. He didn't have an answer either. I could see he and my grandma were very hurt by what he did. He said he asked for an explanation, but got none. That's it for now. I'll continue trying to have a relationship with my siblings outside of my dad and stepmom. I'll also try to schedule some weekly dinner with them. I know what you guys said about my father is mostly true, but I need to at least try to have a relationship with him, if not for him, for my siblings and for me. But don't worry, I won't let him hurt me anymore. Well, OP, in my opinion, this is a good and positive update. You are not moving back in with your parents. Your dad is going to continue to learn his lesson, like you said, and you're going to be able to have a relationship with your siblings. So that is great. And again, your grandparents sound awesome. The fact that they included your stepsister in the education fund, I think it's great. So on that note, here's wishing you the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Mr. Bones 6150. Boss didn't follow his own dress code. I worked for a popular fast food company. I won't say the name, but it can be recognized by the sound of a single bong in its jingle. Anyway, we are required to wear company brand shirts and must display the company logo on our bodies somewhere. Enter morning shift boss. I almost never see anybody from morning shift as I'm either evening or closing, but due to layoffs we needed a closing manager. He is incredibly nitpicky and hypocritical and only invokes the rules when it's convenient for him. My attire that never got any write-ups or talks was a company shirt, company hat, and apron and jeans. Morning shift boss walks up to me and talks to me about the dress code and my violations. Apparently, the rim of the shirt was too low, my apron wasn't allowed to have pockets, but the thing that really set him off was my jeans. He said I can't have them cuffed, and I either have to cut them to size or get new jeans that fit. I tried to explain to him that I have very wide hips and jeans of my waist size are usually meant for big and tall people, and I couldn't find any jeans anywhere that had my length. He said, "Just cut them then." Later that week, he made everyone sign a pamphlet that basically says, "I understand the dress code and I will follow it or face repercussions." Fortunately, this pamphlet had the company dress code written in the text. Everyone else just signed their name and moved on. But I took the pamphlet into the back office and took the time to read the whole thing. My boss came in and wondered why I wasn't working. I told him, "My father told me to never sign things without reading them first." "Just sign it," he replied. I said, "I will, I just want to know what I'm signing my soul over for first of all." I'm guessing he thought what I said was funny as he chuckled and walked away. But then I saw it, my saving grace. Only dark blue denim, black jeans, or black pants, solid in color, are approved to wear as your company uniform. Pants and jeans should not touch the ground, have holes, fading, embellishments, or light washes. That's everything the dress code said about jeans. It said nothing that I wasn't allowed to cuff them. And it did say I have to wear a company apron too, which don't have pockets, but is never said anything I can't wear more than one apron. I proudly signed the pamphlet saying I fully understand the dress code and I saw that my boss was the first person to sign it too. The next day, I came to work with my jeans cuffed, my company apron on, but I wore it backwards, and my usual apron on regularly, and I did tuck in my shirt as that was the dress code. A few co-workers wondered why I had 2 aprons and still cuffed my jeans. I just told them everything I'm wearing is to the letter up to the dress code. When my boss finally called me into the office and said I would receive a write-up for insubordination and dress code violation, I told him, "Nuh-uh," cheeky finger wag. Everything I am wearing is up to code. I thought you knew that. You signed it too. I assume you took the time to read the terms of the dress code too. He got the pamphlet out and started reading the terms, and I could see him looking at my jeans and back at the pamphlet, then back at me, then my apron, then the paper again. "Is there anything that violates the dress code?" "No," he replied. "Well then, write-up would be unnecessary then for me, but I would like to point out that the dress code specifically prohibits holes in attire. And I think I see a hole right there on your shirt." Then I continued, "It says pants cannot touch the floor, and your pants is down by the heels, sir. I can see some dirt and a stray piece of lettuce on the rim of your pant leg." He looked and saw, then he shimmied his pants higher, up to his belly button. "You know, if they're too long, you can just cuff them." And then I promptly left. Felt pretty proud of myself for that. My boss never came to me about dress code after that. Nicely done, OP. Not only was it a perfect malicious compliance, but you were able to throw it in his face and everything he was doing wrong. Congrats and thanks for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.